What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Flyers play at 7 against the 8-2-0 Carolina Hurricanes. That's
so
we're gonna get
probably gonna lose.
We're gonna get our ass beat.
We're probably gonna lose.
Wonderful.
I brought a tripod. If you look at the picture that I posted on Threads, like before we recorded, I put a tripod with a ring light around the side, around it. It's so nice. So I can put my phone in the middle if I wanted to.
But go ahead.
No, because I want when I make those. Not gonna give it away while we're recording, but when I make what I want to make for Christmas, so I can record my phone, so I can because it can lean, I can remove the inside of it, so I can do overhead filming of whatever I'm.
Oh
recording.
Yeah.
But then this is nice because it's so dark out the way I'm sitting, and I also have to figure out how I want to rework. What?
Did you know we're at 10,986 followers on Threads?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, we're going to hit 11. I need to refigure out when I put my Christmas tree up because where I'm sitting is where I had my Christmas tree last year. So.
Can you put it in that back corner right behind you?
My Christmas tree?
Yeah.
I could, but I liked it because it was in front of the window. So when my window was open, like the blinds, you would see it. But then I was like, I could put this back, can move that back there, especially now that I have
do a swap.
This ring light. I can easily sit there and not look like I'm in the dark, and then I won't have to worry about that. The North Star that's behind my head.
Yeah. Hey, it's in the Christmas spirit.
It's so bright. But yeah, I'll figure it out. Hello everyone.
Yeah. That was an all-time rant from the start.
Yeah. Could have been your sneeze.
Could have been my sneeze. You're right. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode number 84 of F1 Underground. Is that correct? 84? I think that's correct.
Yeah, I think
I'm pretty
you're
sure it's correct. It's our special election day here in the United States recording. Not to worry. We will not be discussing politics at all. Nope. We don't do that. Not to scare anybody.
But we did vote.
We did vote, yes. We have a good one lined up for you guys today. Like always, we're doing our meme of the week. A lot of options for meme of the week this week.
Lots of options
with Brazil.
Lots
we'll
of
be doing
options.
that.
I kept it to one because I could have 12 if I don't just pick one.
I found a great one that I'm personally very proud of. It comes from Formula Dank as always.
Always.
After that, I will be quizzing Casey in Pints and Pit Stops Brazil edition.
Let me just tell you, I'm very nervous because a lot happened, so I have no clue what you're pulling from.
Well, all right, so that this might help you narrow it down then. If you read all of these questions pulled from Mark's articles covering Brazil. So if you read Mark's articles, you will be able to answer them.
Yeah, but it's stuff that happened in a race, right?
Yes, it's stuff that happened in a race, but it's stuff that our friend Mark Schofield specifically called out in his articles.
Great. I'm going to get 0 out of 5.
Yeah. We'll then do our very hectic Brazil recap.
Very
hectic. And there's no race next weekend or this coming weekend by the time you listen to this episode. So we'll round it out with F1 Threads mailbag, which we got some banger questions from.
We got some good ones this week. Yeah. I'm kind of happy we don't have to do predictions. We don't have to rush through them. We can because there are some good ones.
We got some banger questions.
And then next week there'll be no race. We'll do whatever. And then it's Vegas week. But
yeah. But yes, before we start though, I would just like to say that I have been very quiet on social media this week. Life has been very hectic, and I just wanted to explain it to everybody. Doing a lot of adult things, which is very, very weird, but it's very fun and very cool as well. So I just wanted to apologize for that, saying that I've been very quiet, but we are still going. We're still kicking.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
Exciting stuff.
Essentially. Yes.
Yeah, you're alive. You're alive. You're well. I obviously could say something here now too. You're kind of lucking out that you haven't been on social media because it's been a very toxic place recently. I feel like it's kind of been building after each race weekend. Every session, it's kind of a little bit more and more, but this weekend is, I keep saying, this break is so needed. I feel like everyone should just take these next 2 weekends off from F1 social media completely.
Take a breather.
Because it's so much. I know I've been talking to Tasia about it. I've been talking to Frey about it. It's just, there's a lot going on. Remember to be respectful. But also, like Tasia and I talked about, we like to pride that F1 Threads is a safe space, but it's not a safe space if people don't feel comfortable sharing their opinion. And that includes constructive criticism about your favorite drivers, about your favorite teams. Just respect it. But yes, like I said, you haven't...
nice to people.
Yeah, be kind. Be kind. But yes, we will move right along to Meme of the Week.
Meme of the Week.
Like we said...
Casey's going first.
There could have been about... I could have done one for like every 5 minutes of this past weekend because that's how we all know that's how chaotic Brazil was. Can you click on the video so it opens up the video? So I can see the thread.
On the video. There you go.
So this is Hannah, an engineer at Red Bull. Let it restart. Sitting at the pit wall during the rain delay, and she just looks stressed. She doesn't look like she's having fun.
No. This is like the look on her face, like especially when she turns here and she's got the flat, just like the gym look almost. It's literally like, well, this shit ain't happening. Yeah, like that's what it is.
And then you can like see the radar behind her, but she just looks. We can tell that it's raining through it, but yeah, she just looks like, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Because then she gets up off the chair and just walks away. But yeah,
I also love. This is like not related at all to the meme, kind of, but I also love like getting a sneak peek at like all this stuff and what the guys have on the track wall or the pit wall. I'm cracking up that if you look at the bottom of this video, you can see a messaging software. That's Microsoft Teams, which cracks me up because it's just like I use Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, it's like you just use like that kind of. Well, that was like when the whole. What was it, when it all crashed and stuff that week in the summer? The CrowdStrike and stuff? And
CrowdStrike outage, yep.
I mean, they were showing pictures of computer screens, and it had, like, the Windows, like, server cannot be reached.
Windows, like, it was the blue screen of death.
Yeah.
That's what it was,
But yeah, that was my meme of the week. I also like when you can look at I could have done this as my meme of the week. When like, during the delays, they bring up all the fun facts about whatever. They even included team principals this time. And sometimes like when they show, that's how the drivers know they're on the screen. Because it's specifically F1 TV, they'll have their broadcast on. So it goes to Fred and it has his little biography, like little profile up there. And it says he loves ice cream. If he wasn't an F1 team principal, what would he be? And it was like an ice cream producer. But his face, he reads it and then he goes like this. He goes like this. You hear him, like, you hear the audible slap on his head, and he's like, but I was literally,
like, why do they have to do that to me?
Well, and then Ruth was sitting in the broadcast booth, and she was like, and they're like, is that a lie? Like, is that why he's reacting like that? And Ruth worked with him in Sauber, or Alfa Romeo for years, and she was like, oh no, I can confirm that he actually really loves ice cream. And I said, well, and then I posted, I said, I'm going to make the petition so we can get a Fred and Lek collab, please.
There's got to be like a Fred like flavor. Yeah,
Fred flavor.
That's what it should be.
That'd be perfect. But yes, I could have done that as my meme of the week. I highly considered it, but all right. Owen.
Here's mine. It's so good. I'm just gonna let it run.
Oh no.
Right.
No. Now you have to explain it for the people not watching.
So yes, so for our audio listeners, it's this video. It got a caption saying Lance Stroll after Aston Martin mechanics fix his car, and it's this video of two people helping a sheep out of just like a crevice that it's stuck in, and the sheep hops out, runs away, literally like jumps like purposefully back into the crevice, like pretty much does like a headfirst dive back into the crevice. And it's hilarious because I feel like it's all the time that like Lance does something, Aston Martin fixes the car, and then he just ruins it yet again.
That could be for a lot of the cars that had to get fixed between quali and the race.
Oh my God, so many.
But yes, that was our meme of the week. I don't want to talk about that too much because that's specifically also a question that we got in F1 threads about.
Oh yes.
There is one piece of news I am realizing now, but I'll talk about it.
We also, Ange and I have made more progress in Drive to Survive, and we just watched the episode about Force India, which I totally forgot that storyline of VJ being like, you know, pretty much the team going into administration because he was hiding and everything, but mainly following Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez as the two drivers of Force India, who is going to be the driver next year when it went into administration. And then it got into Lance Stroll coming in, and because Lawrence had bought the team, you know, or was one of the investors of the team, stuff like that. And Ange is now at the point of Lance Stroll is a Nepo baby. And she was cracking up at the line where it's like it cuts to a shot of a press conference, and they're like, Lance, like, what do you think about Force India? Like, are you going to be driving there? You know, blah, blah. And Lance's first reaction is, oh, I don't know. Like, we'll have to see what my dad does, or like what my dad wants me. And Ange just goes, oh my God. So
Josh has got to know.
Yeah.
Sorry to Lance fans if you're listening. Sorry, yes. Linus. I know you're listening.
Yes. Sorry, Linus.
Yeah. That's funny.
But that's where we're at with Drive to Survive.
Are you still in season 1?
We're still in season 1. I believe the next episode that we have to watch is where we're introduced to Charles and the whole story of Jules, Bianchi, and everything. And
such a good episode.
So
she'll understand why I'm a fan of him after that episode. Yeah. Trust me.
I believe that's our next episode. I know we're halfway through the season. I just can't remember. I think that's episode 6, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, well, it's because it's like he's the only rookie that year. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Moving on. Before weekly news, as always, code underground10. Only vowels leading you at IPF1Store.com. Get your literally anything you think of. We always say hats, t-shirts, mugs, travel mugs, pieces of artwork, our capsule collection.
I was going to say underground stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool. We still have to get some.
Yeah.
But yes, Underground 10 for 10% off your entire order at IPF1Store.com. And he's so good. He's so quick to post something that's like inspired by each race weekend. Like I think one of this week's was the rain inspired. So give him a follow. It's perfect. It's such great stuff.
Give him a follow. Go support him. Buy his stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. But moving on. There is 2 pieces of weekly news. I know I don't have them listed. First off, Prema IndyCar team has announced their second driver.
Yes.
Which they did it in such a fun way. Prema always has great video content because it's like the Prema Driver Academy. You have those iconic videos with Charles Leclerc and Antonio Fuoco, like doing the word thing. They have all these other ones with like Oscar and Arthur Leclerc. All this stuff, they're known. So obviously we know Callum Ilott is going to be their one driver in IndyCar. They announced today that Robert Shwartzman, formerly the he still is kind of the reserve driver for Ferrari, is going to be the second driver for Prema this upcoming season, which is great because he's going back to Prema. I think Prema that year, like when they were kind of like the next up and coming, was Robert Shwartzman, Callum Ilott, and Mick Schumacher. That's the 3 like that were like joined together all the time in Prema that one. But yeah, so they will be joining together, which is cool. He's like kind of going home, but it'll be exciting to see what he can do in IndyCar. I had a feeling because this past weekend was the end of WEC. They were in Bahrain. And then it came out like before that this was going to be his last race with the Ferrari team. So I was like,
interesting.
Yeah. And now I posted today, this is a rumor. I'm just thinking, like, this is me just thinking, I'm paying attention to things. Arthur Leclerc did a rookie test with Ferrari Hypercar this past weekend. Was the best of the rookies.
Of course.
So I have a feeling, and the team that he did for, it was like Scuderia Baldini. It's kind of like just like a regional, like almost like a hypercar car, but or LMP2 maybe was the car that he drove. They did really, really well. They won a decent amount of races. So I have a feeling Arthur Leclerc is joining one of the Ferrari cars, which means he'll get to drive in Le Mans. So that'll be fun.
Cool. That'd be really cool.
Which sucks if he goes, because didn't we say when we talked about Le Mans this upcoming season, there's like IndyCar and F1 the same weekend as Le Mans. So that'll suck.
Yeah, it's a stacked weekend.
Arthur's first year, Charles can't go.
Yeah.
But, yes. And then other news, this was yesterday, I woke up to this. There's a new Instagram account on Instagram for the Grand Prix Drivers Association. That is all the drivers, kind of like the NFL, NHLPA. Have you ever? This is the one. Yeah, this is new. They're following 23 people. It's all the current drivers, Ollie Bierman, and then the two in charge that have been in charge. I'm blanking on the one guy's name, and then Seb Vettel is the other one that they're following. So, and it says the current Formula One drivers #Racing United for our safety, our sport, our fans. So,
what's the user?
Hold on, let me go back.
The Grand Prix, the
GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association.
Thank you.
People were making fun of the logo because it looks like George Russell is the current director of the GPDA right now. What I think, I don't know if something is coming, but based on things with the FAA recently, them having to drive in certain conditions this past weekend, and listening to some of the drivers' radios, like Ollie Bierman's broke my heart. Did you listen to Ollie Bierman's?
No.
He's over the radio when it's like the worst part of the rain during the race. And he's like, he's like, can someone tell the FIA these conditions are awful? I do not want to die.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So I think they're up to something. They are. And the fact that Seb was just with them in Brazil,
yeah, it's pretty big.
Up to something. But yeah, so that was the two pieces of weekly news I wanted to add. I know I remember it as we started. I was like, wait, there is weekly news. So
there is some weekly news.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready?
No, it's Pints and Pit Stops time, people. I'm nervous.
Stops.
I haven't had the guess in weeks.
For those of you who are new, Pints and Pit Stops is a segment that we do on the show where we give ourselves some trivia questions, pretty much strictly relating to the race that just happened. So this obviously will be about Brazil. There are 5 questions. Casey's goal, or my goal, whoever's answering the questions, is to answer them as quickly as possible. That is the pit stop portion of it. The pints portion of it is I am a huge beer fan. I like trying new beers and exploring new beers and trying new things. But as of right now, I am training for a marathon that is coming in a couple weeks. Past 2 months, I've decided to go completely sober for it. So my pint, as it always has been for the past couple weeks, is fresh water.
As I said, the first Pints and Pit Stop after Vegas will be the first one you can have a pint.
Oh, I'm gonna have
the race is Vegas weekend.
Oh yes, oh yes. Which I also realized, short tangent here. I obviously will not be watching Vegas live just because I'll be in bed to sleep for that. But I realized afterwards, come back from the marathon, get some nice sweatpants on, a nice hoodie on.
Sit on the couch.
Sit on the couch, eat some pizzas, a specific brand that Casey knows that I love. And yes, and watch the race. It's gonna be great.
Can you make sure you're like not delirious first, or I should ask you Pints and Pit Stops after?
You should do. Yes, that would be it.
Like, what was I paying attention to?
Yeah, was I watching? Was I not watching? So
yeah, that'll be 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah, it's coming up fast, which is kind of scary. But it's fun.
Week of Thanksgiving.
So, like I said, I will be asking Casey questions regarding Brazil. Like I mentioned earlier in this episode too, if Casey read any of Mark's articles, specifically the one talking about Max's performance, and then also the winners and losers. That is where all these questions come from.
I've read them, but just do I remember?
Yes. So for every question Casey gets right, we will subtract a section. Any question that Casey gets wrong, we will add a second. Are you ready?
No, but sure.
All right. I'm doing this in the wrong configuration. Let me pull up my stopwatch.
Wrong configuration?
I usually have the questions on my computer and the stopwatch on my phone. Do you want to see the clock? Do you not want to see the clock?
No, I don't want to see the clock.
You don't want to see the clock. All right. No. Okay. As always, I will read you the first question. Once I am done reading the first question, I will start the clock.
Okay.
All right. What place was Max in by lap 5?
P11.
When was the last time we saw a double Alpine podium finish?
Oh. I'm going to guess.
Give me a number.
2016. That's wrong.
What was Max's penalty for?
A power unit element.
What lap did Carlos Sainz crash on?
Oh my God. It's not even 39. 39.
What position is Alpine now in the Constructors' Championship?
Oh, it's above Haas. So 6th.
All right.
I did so bad.
A little slow. You got a 38.92 for your
that
gross time.
Alpine question really. Because I was like Alpine or when they were Renault. So I was very lost.
So
Alpine,
okay.
Never.
I may have to give you that one then. Because when I heard it on the broadcast,
they said on the broadcast?
Said the last time we saw an Alpine 1-2 was X. Well, I'm going to give you that one because there may be some confusion there. And I also may have the wrong answer for one, so you need to correct me. Classic, I know.
Classic.
So what place was Max in by lap 5? You said P6, I believe?
No, I said P11.
P11? You have gotten that wrong. He was in 9th. He was in P9.
I was like, was he? Because I literally looked at that graphic today that F1 posted. So I was like,
yeah.
Was he? And I made a point to be like, that's insane. But then I was like, was he in the points yet or not? So, okay.
When was the last time? So now you're at a 39.92. This
will be the worst time ever.
When was the last time we saw a double Alpine podium finish? Like I said, I'm going to give you this one. So you're back in your original starting time of 38.92.
Once a year.
But it was 2013 was the last time we saw any drivers from what would then become Alpine or Alpine. What was
it's Kimi Räikkönen and Romain Grosjean.
Oh, look at that. What was Max's penalty for? I have written down here taking a new engine. But was it a power unit?
Pause. I know I have the FIA docs on here because I post them all the time.
I was pretty sure that it was taking a new engine.
I think you're right. Because last week...
Or at least taking a new engine component.
When did they announce it?
It was early.
MaxVerstappen, Brazil, penalty. His 6th engine of the season. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
So an engine. So now you're back at 39.92. What lap did Carlos Sainz crash on? You said lap 39.
Mm-hmm.
It's lap 40.
Oh!
Yeah. When you said 39, that killed me. So now you are at a 40.92. What position is Alpine now in the Constructors' Championship? You were correct. You said 6th. They are above Haas. So that sticks you at a final time of 39.92. You overall did gain 1 second.
Because I can remember when they showed that graphic, the places thing, and they showed them jump. I was like, damn.
Yeah. I always try to do that. What's today? Today is 11/5/2024. And you went 0, 0, 0.
That's my worst time.
38. I need to build out this.
Better.
Yeah, because I want to add the. I want to build out the adding and subtracting, whatnot. All right, so your fastest time still sits at a 24 seconds, and your average time bumps up 2 seconds to a 32 seconds for your average time.
So you're faster for now.
So that one hurt you.
Yeah. So if we keep going every other, I should ask you Pints and Pit Stops for Vegas. If that's what we should do. We should just go every other.
Yeah.
Now that we're even.
So that's it. That was Pints and Pit Stops. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us as we got questions wrong and as we got...
So much happened that weekend. I was like, well, this past weekend, I was like, oh no. But Pints and Pit Stops is brought to you by BoxBox.
Yes. Pints and Pit Stops is brought to you by our friends over at BoxBox. If you are new here or if you're, returning friends, I am a huge tech person. I work in tech. My wife calls me a gadget person all the time. I love when apps are well built and are built for a specific reason. And BoxBox checks both of those, no pun intended, boxes perfectly. It is an F1 app built by F1 fans for F1 fans. It's so well done. It's such a beautiful app. You'll hear us pulling stats in this upcoming Brazil recap. What tires people had on, what lap they went in on, what was their fastest time, where did people finish, where did they end up now in Constructors and Drivers Championships. That's all from BoxBox. All of that information is in BoxBox. It's wonderful. And what you get from us and from what our partnership brings for you guys is if you use the code Underground30, you get 30% off your first year Ultra Plan subscription. This is only on iOS, but the app is available on iOS and Android devices as well. Highly recommended on both devices. It's fantastic. You can also follow the link on our link tree. We do recommend that way as well, just because that'll take you right to the App Store page if you don't already have the app downloaded, and it'll just automatically apply the discount for you. It is 100% worth it. It removes all ads from the app itself. It also, if you have an Apple Watch, you get custom Apple Watch faces. You get custom complications on your Apple Watch, which is just like the tiny widgets that you see on the screen. And you also unlock more widgets for you to put on your iOS home screen. I love it. I have currently on my screen Lando's position in the Drivers' Championship, as well as McLaren's. And then I have an awesome thing up here where I can scroll through and it gives me Lando's score, McLaren's score, any current news, and also the schedule until the end of the next race, or countdown until the next race. My bad.
I like the one I added, the newer one that does the dots so you can see the winners. Yeah, that one's fun. Looks like a Connect 4 board.
It's so cool. It's a beautiful app. But yeah, so like I said, Underground 30. If you want to use the code on iOS, like I said, it is available for iOS and Android. But Underground 30 will get you 30% off your first year of the Ultra Plan subscription. Thank you to BoxBox for sponsoring us and partnering with us. We love you. It's fantastic.
Yes, we do. Brazil. Where
to begin?
I feel like we keep starting recaps with that, but Brazil might take the cake for maybe the most chaotic weekend in general.
I saw a post the other day that it was like the experience of Drive to Survive season 7 is the producers like it. Essentially, Netflix producers are going to have a really hard time picking what to cover in Drive to Survive season 7 because we've had so much. But the point I'm trying to make here is Brazil should have its own episode.
Yeah, not like 2 years ago when Georgia's first win, then they didn't cover it. You can't skip it. Brazil was too chaotic. Yeah, someone was like, Brazil each day could be its own episode. I was like, oh no, for sure. You
have one practice session.
Yeah.
You have sprint.
That was pretty normal.
Yeah, pretty standard. The first practice session did not set the tone for what would become the weekend. So you had your first practice session on Friday, and then you had sprint qualifying after that, which was your pretty standard run-of-the-mill kind of qualifying.
Yeah, it was pretty normal.
Pulling up the results just to confirm.
Yeah, we had the McLaren one too. That's when we had Alex in P3.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, that was SQ3. Yeah, McLaren 1-2, Charles is P3.
Yeah. Max is 4th, Carlos is 5th. You had an appearance from, thing to highlight, SQ3, you had an appearance of Liam Lawson and Ollie Behrman in SQ3. Yeah. Which is awesome. It's great to see the rookies kind of stepping up and taking charge, which is awesome to see. So pretty run of the mill, right? You then go into Saturday, and you have sprint race, which still kind of run of the mill.
Yeah, it was pretty normal. You had Oscar was keeping the lead for pretty much the entire time, and then obviously switched them to get Lando the lead for championship points. Charles stayed in 3rd, Max stayed in 4th, Carlos stayed in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 6th and 7th all stayed. Checo moved up, Lawson went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty normal.
Pretty standard.
You had Nico Hulkenberg DNF on lap 19.
Oh, wow, I'm just connecting now the dots.
What an awful weekend.
Yeah, him DNFing in the sprint and then black flagging in the race.
What an awful weekend.
That's tough.
But even before that, go back. So before FP1, we get the notice that Ollie's going to be driving for
K-Mag.
K-Mag on Friday, but because he would do sprint quali, he would also be doing the sprint race.
Yes.
And then it comes out later on that he was going to do the entire weekend. What a weekend for K-Mag to be like, I'm sick.
I'm sick. I can't do this shit.
Like, one, was he thrilled that he was like escaped that chaos, or was he like, I'm kind of
jealous.
Wish I wasn't. Yeah. Which also the break can't come soon enough because like Alonso missed media day again because he was sick. He went home for treatment. Then you have K-Mag who was sick. Like the break, this next 2 weeks is needed.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drivers gonna love it.
Yeah. Then you have Ollie. We get that Ollie's driving. You get that Max is gonna have a penalty. There's obviously still discourse from the week before with Max and Lando and all this stuff. But yes, then you get to Saturday. Sprint race is okay, but towards the end, they're like, the rain is coming. The rain.
Yes. The rain is on its way.
Coming. And the rain showed up, and did not stop. We just kept getting the 30-minute delays, 15-minute delays, 30-minute delays, 15-minute delays.
Just constant, getting pushed back by 15, 30 minutes each time.
And then it came that they finally made a decision that it would be run the next morning at 7:30 a.m. Brazil time. So that's a very early morning.
That's very early morning.
Esteban Ocon posts on social media him setting his alarm for 4:30. It was it maybe was 8 o'clock there, and all the drivers were like, okay, going to bed. Good night.
Yeah. They were talking about the Williams mechanics being at the track at 4 o'clock in the morning, not and they made a point too. I really liked that they were like, that wasn't alarm going off at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, they were there already.
We are at the track working on the car at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Which then they ended up needing to do more work. So yeah, so we had, they were calling it then Super Sunday, because you had qualifying and literally 3 hours later, the race. And qualifying,
which this is the sixth time it's only happened in the sixth time that we've had what we're calling Super Sunday.
And everyone was like, Formula One. She was like, this is what Formula E, she was like, I'm built for this because Formula E does their qualifying and then races later on in the day. I even think some of them were like, this is just reminding us of karting days because you would qualify in the morning and then turn around and race a little bit later. I think Yuki was like, the only thing it's messing up is my pre-race routine. He's like, ritual. I can't have my cup of espresso because I am already in the quali mode right into it. But yeah, qualifying did not disappoint. We had 5 red flags. Obviously, everyone knows 5 red flags. I can't even let me go back. Qualifying.
We had Lewis So in Q1 we had Joe, Nico, Franco, Oliver, and Lewis out. That was your first 5 out. Lando scraping by like skin, like barely moving in that Q2.
I was nervous for him.
I was very nervous for him. And then in Q2, you then lost Pierre, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, and Valtteri Bottas, which is huge in and of itself too, because then when you factor in Max qualifying in 12th, that was before his 5-place grid penalty. So he started the race P17.
Yeah, that was huge. But then also you had Colapinto was the first red flag. He crashed into the barriers after spinning the Williams into turn 3. His car didn't look awful. Like there was damage, but it didn't look not like Alex's.
Yeah.
Obviously then you have, and that was in Q1, and then you have Hamilton go out. Red Bull face the double elimination with 2 other red flags. Where's the red flags? Hold on.
Which I'm pretty sure the one that
Carlos is one of the red flags. He went off into turn 2.
And isn't the other one Nico? Isn't it Hulkenberg?
Let me see. Lance Stroll. And that's the one that it was like right at the end, and that's when they sent the Red Bulls back out, and they just didn't have enough time to set the fastest lap.
Yes, that's right. That's
what knocked them out. And then Q3, so that's 3 red flags. Q3, you then have, this is when, what did I say, 3? So yeah, this is when you have Nico and, no, not Nico. This is when you have Albon and Lance Stroll.
Yes.
And Albon's car
was mangled.
Was destroyed.
Yeah.
Mangled. I don't know how. I mean, right then and there, because then it came quickly after qualifying that he obviously wasn't going to be competing in the race. He was saying it pretty sure, even though the team put out a statement and being like, we're still trying to work. Alex, literally, every time he was asked, he was like, no, I'm not racing. Like, I'm not. So yeah, Alex is out to begin with. You have Yuki, P3.
Yep, Yuki's right on up there, which like really is like an emphasis on like rain being the great equalizer in this sport.
Yes.
You know, like all the trouble that V-Carb has had this year and everything. And then your top 3 is Lando, George, Yuki.
Yeah.
And then to extend on that a little bit more, your top 5 then is Esteban Ocon and Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
Following those top 3. Like nuts.
I mean, that's what makes rain during a qualifying so exciting, because the grid is so jumbled.
It's so messed up. Yeah.
It's so messed up. But obviously with qualifying in the morning, teams, kudos to them. I said they're the real MVPs. The team, the mechanics, we're getting almost all those cars except for Albon's onto the track for the race start.
Yep.
And then you have the race start, and even more
chaos.
Yeah. Sauber, I really can't even say anything. They once again had the fastest pit stop of the week, and I feel like that's all I can say.
It's a shame that doesn't get them a point.
So close. They were so close. Like, Bottas was so close to scoring points. Even Will Buxton was like, I was literally screaming.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Williams, like we said, Albon's out of the race. And then during the race, this is when they red flag it, right? For Colapinto's crash, because it's like in the pit lane entrance or exit. Is that when they red flag it?
Yeah, they red flag
because that's when I texted you saying you're going to catch up, and I said you're going to be sad when you see who's out.
Yes. Yeah, they red flag it because of Colapinto, which just sucks because it's like the man is on such a burner of a tryout that he's like impressing so much, and then you have this crash, and it just puts a cap on like an already sad weekend for Williams.
For him, and for him personally, but then also like at the other end, they were talking about how flights were sold out and like bus tickets were sold out from Argentina to Brazil. the crowd for him
huge
was wild. You could tell it just meant like the world to him. Because they interviewed him during the quali delay, and then they interviewed him during the driver's parade, and he's like, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. If he makes it to Formula One next year, that will be his home race. There's no doubt about it. That will be his home race. And
that'll 100% be his home race. And it'll be Brazil versus Argentina in that crowd for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, but like, I feel like to the teams, seeing the crowd's reaction to him has to mean something.
It's gotta mean something.
Come on, give him a seat, please.
It reminds me too of, like I said, we had just watched the episode of Force India, and one of the things they were talking about in there was drivers bringing sponsorships and bringing money to the teams, and how Checo brings a lot of Mexican sponsorships. Franco being the only Argentinian driver on the grid right now, that could pull in his favor for sponsorships and everything.
I think the amount of money they're already getting for him is wild. And also he posted that drink that Mateo, I'm butchering it, I know it. He's now that's one of his sponsors. I was like, I was like, the kid is raking in the money. Those rumors of Franco Colapinto to Red Bull would not be stupid on Red Bull's part.
No, would not be stupid.
I know we haven't seen a lot, but him in a Red Bull would be dangerous.
I think it would be too. Yeah.
The way we've seen him just like move up spaces and at starts would be dangerous. I think he would do well. But yeah, so that was Williams go from having one driver start the race to both drivers being out.
Correct.
Has to be a big there's a stat. Albon hasn't scored points since before Baku.
Oh.
Because obviously he DNF'd. He DNF'd in Mexico.
Yep.
And then, Coda, he finished, but Franco beat him. But yeah, he didn't score points. He finished 16th in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baku, he scored 6 points. So he has not scored points since Baku.
That's not good.
No.
That's not good at all.
No. But yeah, so that was sucky weekend for Williams. Who do you want to go to next?
I don't know who we jump to next. Let's talk Aston Martin. Cover it real fast. Where the hell? Fernando finished 14th. He's down 5 places from where he qualified. Not the best weekend for him. I also felt bad for him. He was complaining about
did you watch him
bouncing
get out of
on the car. Yeah, I saw the clip of him getting like lifted out.
Yeah, he could barely move. Oh, it's great too. He could barely move.
Yeah, and then so you have that, which sucks, like just for him, because you hate to see Alonso go through that just because of his history in the sport. And then you jump over to the other side of the garage, and there's Lance Stroll spinning out on formation lap.
Don't answer too much because I want. Or do you want me to ask this question now?
No. This may be answering the question. I don't necessarily know if this was his fault. If you watch the video, it looks like it is just a combination of a rear lockup and the wet weather.
Yes.
He just locks up and immediately just spins. The part where I will kind of blame it on him.
Yeah, this is the question.
is the beaching of the car immediately following it.
It looks like people are like, did he just not want to race the rest of the race? Because it looks like he just drives back into the gravel.
I want to know the thought process of trying to drive through that, especially in the rain.
Did you see the picture though? Someone took a picture, like a map, a satellite version of that corner, there is an escape road. He could have went around the gravel back onto the track, and he just beached himself.
I don't know. Even Alex Jakes was like, why did he just drive back into that? You need a good amount of speed to make it through that.
And he literally crawled in. Like, he did not have.
So weird. I will happily say that the crash was just unlucky from him. But the beaching of the car, I'm going to pin on him because if there's an escape road and if it's wet weather in gravel traps that are designed to stop the car, why go into it? So,
and it wasn't like they had the full wet tires on, so it's not like they had the decent tread on the tires. You were in the intermediates. Where did you think you were going?
Right. So weird. Very weird.
This does kind of answer the question. It's from Adam though. From Fantasy. So to the question.
Adam, yes.
He said, "Can you explain how Lance went from perfectly good tarmac to beaching himself?"
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's like me trying to figure out, like on F1, like on the video game, like how to get out of a corner and just be like.
Listen. I know that you're low in those cars. I know that you can't see everything. But he was far enough away from the gravel trap, and the trap is large enough that he knows it's there.
Yeah.
So it's weird that he decided just to turn the car right into it.
That's why I feel like I agree with people being like, "Does he just not want to race?" Like, was he done for the day?
So interesting, but that's where we're going. That's what we'll say there.
Haas.
Nico gets black flagged, which when that happened, I immediately was like, whoa. I was like, I think it's the first time I've seen a black flag in a race.
I mean, I think even Alex Jakes is like, we haven't seen a black flag, like someone get disqualified during a race in a very long time.
Yeah. It's definitely the first time I've seen it during a race, which I was very confused as to why. But
so he got it because he ran off.
Right.
And he was stuck. And the marshals, first of all, every time, because obviously I have the live timing up and I'm always a few seconds ahead. I think I lost 20 years of my life this weekend because every time there was a yellow flag, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And then just automatically went to a red flag. But so the marshals try helping push Nico back onto the grid so he can keep going. But his tire went over from like the tarmac, the runoff area, to the racetrack. So they said he continued going with the help of the marshals. So that's why he then came in during the red flag after Franco crashed, and he was disqualified during.
Yeah.
Like once his car was already parked and he was disqualified. But I can't tell you. I mean, I know for a fact. And if the seasons I've watched, I've never seen a driver get disqualified during the race. But felt bad.
But so you had that with Nico. Ali finishes 12th. He's up 3 spots from where he qualified. It's obviously, like I said, he's not technically a rookie anymore.
No.
Because he's raced in 3 races. Obviously, that being Singapore. With Ferrari.
No, Singapore with Haas, Jeddah with Ferrari.
Thank you. And then this race.
He raced in K-Mags when K-Mag had the penalty, when he got all the penalty points. And then, obviously this race. But you can't do more than 3 sessions or 2 sessions. So so technically next season, he's no longer a rookie. Technically, if Franco stays on the grid, he's no longer a rookie. Liam Lawson is no longer a rookie.
Yeah. Which I would be interested to see how this plays out for Ali next year, just because now you don't have that title card of a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can go a long way in terms of confidence and coming into next year, kind of getting rid of the hurdle of, okay, I'm not competing for a seat anymore. And this is my seat. I'm in here, for what would hopefully be the season. I think would be big for him.
Too, he was on F1 TV post-race, and he said, obviously, he was like, he's like, it was good experience. He's like, I've never driven that track. He's like, I don't drive in those conditions that often. He was like, so it was great experience to get under my belt. He goes, because then next year I don't have to learn the track. Like I already know it when the other rookies are going to have to learn it. So yeah, I mean, I feel like walking away 12th after that weekend is pretty darn good. Obviously, it hurts points wise for Haas and the championship, and now that you have Alpine in front of them, but yeah, no, it was I think he walked away in the perfect position. Like he could have obviously finishing the points would have been amazing, but finishing where he did, and he finished the race despite his very scary radio call when he was like, someone tell the FIA these conditions are ridiculous. Yeah, I think a great weekend for Ollie.
Yeah.
His interview, someone, I forget when it was Saturday or after Friday. They're like, when did you find out? He was like, AO called me literally 2 hours before I had to be here. And he was like,
Friday morning.
Yeah, he's like, I was asleep and I hear my phone ringing. He goes, I think it's my mom. So I'm like, geez, what does she want? Because I look at the phone and it's
Fantastic reaction. First of all.
Can you, we need you. So
yeah, can you come in this weekend?
If there's like a special award, well, I posted, so technically, I guess between him, Franco, and Liam Liam technically was not even a rookie after last year when he sold in for Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah. So between Ollie and Franco, can they win Rookie of the Year, depending on who has the most points?
That's a good question.
I would think so. And right now it's Ollie who would win it. But like Ollie also, the way he stepped in and stepped up at literally the last moment, the most prepared he's been is when K-Mag got the penalty because he knew like a whole week in advance. But with Carlos and with this weekend, he's getting thrown into cars that he But he also can't now because he's no longer a rookie. He can't do the postseason rookie test. So I don't know who Ferrari uses. It would have to be, I think, Robert Shwartzman or Arthur Leclerc. So we'll see who they pick.
It'll probably be Arthur.
Yeah.
I feel like
so. But yeah, that's a good weekend for us.
Good weekend for Ollie. Jumping up to IndyCar. Decent, kind of like feel like pretty standard run-of-the-mill weekend for them.
Except for, qualifying was probably the highlight of the weekend for Yuki.
Yeah.
For them in general.
Yuki finished P7, so 4 spots down from where he qualified. And then Liam finished 9th, also 4 spots down from where he qualified. It's points. It's points for them.
For both of them, yeah.
Yeah. Which is great. I can't remember if Liam has driven this track before.
No, I don't think he...
If not, to finish points and in the conditions that this track was in, huge.
Yeah. No, I don't think... No, because this time last year, I think Daniel was back in the car.
Yeah, he probably was. You're right.
But yeah, good. I was happy for Yuki. Especially because, like, I feel like a lot of people feel like he's getting overlooked within the Red Bull family. So for him to go out there and have a great Q3 and end up P3, I was happy for him. He deserved it.
It's big for him.
Yeah, very big for him. You could tell he was super excited.
I also love I'm sure you've seen it,
the camera
clip, the camera cut, where it's like they're talking to George for finishing P2, and obviously George is a tree, and he's standing there, and then Yuki comes over, and Yuki, I don't even think makes it halfway up the screen.
So did you watch the actual post-quali interviews or no? So
I didn't even finish quali, to be honest with you.
It did not look like that on the TV.
Oh, that's upsetting.
It's the person videotaping. It makes it look, it looked funny because Yuki was very, very short compared to how George was. They could have brought the camera down, but they couldn't cut off the sponsors at the top of the screen. So but yeah, no, that person makes it look like they had to move the whole entire camera.
It's so good.
Well, and then I was laughing. They did because of how they had to stand on either side of Lando. It was like raising the bar. I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Jumping to
Mercedes.
George Russell? Mercedes? Yeah. So Lewis finishes 10th. He's up 4 spots from where he qualifies. George finishes 4th. What do you give me that look for?
For Lewis, he hates that car. If he could have driven Senna's car, Ayrton Senna's car during the race, he would have.
Yeah.
He legit said that's more of a race car than what I'm driving.
He does not like the Mercedes car right now. He hates it. I genuinely his best moment of the weekend was driving Ayrton Senna's car.
Oh, he said it. And he's also been quoted saying like he can't wait for the break, like Christmas break. And that's what I don't think Will Buxton was saying this like spite Lewis Hamilton. He was just, I think, creating a talking point, saying like, "Have we seen the last of great Lewis Hamilton?" And Ruth Buxton was like, "No, we have not. Like, put him in that Ferrari car, and I think is going. We're going to see shades of Lewis. We're going to see Lewis back.
I think we're going to see a good return to form of Lewis next year.
Yeah, and that's what people were talking about. People are like, Lewis was stopped giving privileges the minute he signed announced that he was going to Ferrari for 2025.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He's been given the short end of the stick the entire season.
Yeah.
You can tell, not to be one of those people, you can kind of tell that respect with Lewis and Mercedes is going out the window more and more as the East race week goes on. But yeah, he hates that car. And it's Lewis Hamilton in the wet. In Brazil.
If he's complaining that much, there's something wrong.
Well, and I posted his one quote, like he was complaining about the track surface and how bumpy it was, and someone was like, crybaby Lewis. I was like, have you listened to any other drivers post-race?
Yeah, it was every driver.
I said, Oscar literally said you can barely see down the straight. You were bumping, like you were going up and down that much.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Lewis just complaining that he can't drive the car. Like, they all hated.
It was also the broadcast. F1 TV was covering it a lot, that it was, like, shocking that the surface was repaved, and now it's worse than it was before. Yeah.
The coolest part of that was when it was, like, raining, so you had the spray coming off the cars, but then you also had the sparks from the cars, like, hitting the track.
Very cool.
So cool. But yeah, like, I kind of want to say maybe the best race for Mercedes out of the triple header. They ended up on kind of a high note, but it's not like a super high note.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you feel bad for Lewis, but seeing him drive the MP4 was so cool. Just seeing him in that car, knowing what it means to him, was something really, really awesome to watch. I'm glad he still had the opportunity to do that, even with how shitty the weekend was.
And I feel like because when it was originally supposed to happen, it was supposed to be after qualifying on Saturday.
Yeah.
And like, would the crowds have been that packed? I'm sure it's Brazil, so I'm sure they would have been that. But like, being able to do it after qualifying and before the race was such a perfect time. Like, the crowd was amped up.
Yeah. They were ready to roll.
Did you see the one edit? It's when they show him coming down the start finish, like coming over across the finish line at one point, but they show the crowd, and then they zoom out, so then they bring in the finish line, and he's coming straight, like crossing over. Have you seen that shot?
No, I've not.
So someone edited, put it side by side. There's an identical shot of Senna in his car,
of course,
in Brazil, zooming out and crossed over. It gave me chills when I saw it. I was like, okay. I mean, hearing that car, that's what all F1 cars should sound like all the time. Engine.
It's beautiful. It sounds
so good.
So good.
Sounds really, really nice. Yeah. You could tell he was emotional afterwards, rightfully so. But yeah, it was, like I said, I'm happy he was still able to do it, but
yeah.
All right.
I can do McLaren real fast.
I can do Ferrari. And then we'll end with the top three.
Yeah. So McLaren, shitty weekend. We had such an opportunity to capitalize on Max qualifying in P17. And to finish 6th and 8th is pretty brutal. It pretty much shuts the door on a driver's championship hope.
Yeah.
And it opens the door even more for Ferrari in terms of constructors championships. A little bit, kind of, because Carlos finished out of points, so it's
Carlos.
Yeah.
I'll get into it. Yeah, Carlos cost Ferrari a lot of points this weekend. But,
yeah. But overall, just an upsetting weekend, especially after the past 2 weekends you've had.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks, but take the weekend, regroup, come back in, go triple header, bang them out, boom, 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 see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is posting like the championship battle is still on for Max and Lando.
Yeah.
But they need to take Max out and throw Charles in there because that's going to be the real fight now.
Yeah.
Max is not. If Max didn't win this weekend, yeah, I think the championship fight would still be there. But with Max winning, no, you can say goodbye to that one. So, I do feel bad though. Stella's had a bunch of quotes come out yesterday and today, basically saying that they were never focusing on the drivers' championship.
Yeah, I
always
heard this
the constructors, too. And I don't appreciate those comments from Andrea Stella because you're kind of throwing the work Lando has done over the season, out the window. Like the way the drama that you guys had with Hungary and swapping the positions when it didn't. If you're not focusing on the drivers, what was the need?
Yeah,
what was the need to switch Oscar and Lando in the sprint race for the difference of 1 point? Like, what was, if you're not focusing on the drivers, and what has been all the drama? And papaya rules the entire season. So
it's a good point.
Yeah, but I did feel bad for when I read that. I was like, oh, okay. Did you have anything else to add about? You didn't have anything else to add about McLaren?
There's not really much to talk about.
No.
You had the sprint race win, but that's kind of got blown up by the full race.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, that was Oscar's race to win.
Yeah.
Yes, Ferrari, like I said, I don't know. I do think, I pray to God, they were having to lift and coast a little bit during the sprint race again. So I don't know. And it was cooler temperatures in Brazil, but the dirty air in Brazil was just as bad as Mexico, they were saying.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe Vegas on a street track in the city won't be as bad, but Carlos obviously did cost a lot of points for the team this weekend, constructors-wise, crashing out. I've also read the article today about Fred saying that they are bringing no more upgrades for the rest of the season. Their full focus is on next year.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, we will see. I mean, let me go back. A few results. Charles finishing 5th was pretty good. I mean, that when you look at that graphic of Max's journey to P1, there's that little chunk. Someone literally puts it in there like, thank you, Charles, because that was when he was behind Charles for so long.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just watching Charles and Max race each other and battle each other. Charles knows what he's going to do so bad. Even if Max is in his rearview mirrors, he knows take the inside line because that's where Max is going to go.
Yep.
I need a battle. I need a bigger battle with them next year. Please.
Charles outscoring Lando too.
Yeah, Charles outscoring Lando. Big. Which is huge. There is I think a teenier, it's not super close, but it is. I mean, no, if Charles wins next week, Lando was the DNF.
Yeah.
Or in Vegas, that championship is pretty much, they'd be like neck and neck.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. But yeah, I mean, nothing really else to add about Ferrari. I kind of went into the weekend when you saw the weather and then when you saw qualifying and how rainy was still going to happen for qualifying and race day. After watching how awful they were in Montreal, I was like, this car is not good for the wet weather at all. Which makes me thankful that there wasn't many wet races throughout the season.
We really haven't had
No, it's been Montreal and then Brazil. But yeah, that's all I would say about Ferrari. Alpine?
Who would have fucking thought? Who would have fucking thought? I can't believe, and this again, it goes into the thing of rain is a great equalizer, but you cannot really discount the fantastic drives that Esteban and Pierre put on.
You were going to have an Esteban win for majority of the race.
Wild for them personally. You had texted me, might just be the thing that saves our friendship. But also wild for constructor standings. They gained 33 points in 1 weekend.
1 weekend.
And launched from 9th to 6th, which is like tens of millions of more dollars in terms of prize money.
Well, and Alpine, funny enough, posted a picture of Pierre doing like his Drive to Survive interviews, and they're like, Drive to Survive is coming along.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, if we have to sit through one more Alpine episode this season, we are getting that Alpine episode now.
We're 100% getting that Alpine episode now. No doubt about it.
Such a big deal about Pierre and Esteban last year and how everyone knows that they don't get along, and like the trajectory. I kept telling like Tasia and stuff, I was like, their storyline is what movies want.
Absolutely want.
From friends, from childhood friends to enemies to frenemies to teammates to being on the podium together.
Yep.
From crashing each other out of a race earlier in the season, like looked a little like personal, that crash. Yeah,
if you would have traveled back in time to Monaco weekend, and said, hey, those two guys are going to end up on the podium in Brazil together, I would have been like, you're fucking no way. Mm-hmm. It was a wild weekend for them. I still can't believe it happened. I still can't believe that was the outcome, that it was Esteban and Pierre 2-3. Yeah. You know?
And like, and then they did like the post-race interview together. Like, it was just like literally such a perfect ending. But I forget, I think Pierre says it. He's like, I mean, those were kind of the conditions we grew up karting in all the time. He was like, the wet, the rainy, put your kart on the track and just go. And he's like,
just see what happens.
He's like, that's what the two of us have known, and all we've never known since we were children. So no, for them, it was maybe the perfect. I'm obsessed with it. And then obviously you have everyone posting the little, even Esteban Ocon. I was like watching his TikTok crying. It was like the picture of them as children, and then the picture of them with their trophies. Like, it was perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would kind of top them this weekend was Max and his. I don't even know what to call it.
I mean, F1 put it perfectly. I think they put masterclass because it legit was a masterclass.
It's a masterclass, yeah.
I think that might be my favorite Max win over the past however many seasons he's been in the race in F1. That might be my favorite Max win. To watch him go from P17 to P1, I mean, unreal.
I really want to like rewatch that race just from his POV.
From his onboard? Yeah.
Yeah, just watch his onboard the entire time.
You have to watch, I don't know if it's the one restart from Checo's onboard. Everyone's like kind of following the same driver line, and then next thing you know, Max comes out of nowhere, goes on the inside and goes up however many spots.
Yep.
In the pouring rain. I mean, put it perfectly. Is it the PA lottery commercial?
It is the PA lottery commercial.
We have our family group chat again, texting while
my eyes shot open when I saw it because I was so excited.
But yeah, no, that just unreal.
There honestly, there are just no words to describe it. That is the Max is a robot kind of mentality again, where it's like he won that race out of pure spite of just like, I'm gonna like, I don't care
over
that
the
I'm
FIA,
17th.
over Lando, over McLaren.
I don't care that I'm in 17th place. I'm gonna fucking win this race. And the fact that he did is nuts. I know a lot of people are calling him out on it, but I really have to disagree with Lando's statements after the race, or just saying like it's not skill, it's luck. No, that was skill.
And I think, but I do also Lando's entire quote. If you read like the whole thing, he is talking about being able to come in on a red flag and change your tires, because they did change your tires. They got the free, but no, Max's drive.
Honestly, that is going to be one that goes down in history books of F1, of watching Max navigate this track in torrential downpour conditions and go from 17th to first place. I mean, absolutely like bonkers. And then to put it on top of everything else, the last, I would say, 10 laps, he is consecutively fastest lap.
Literally, GP's like, you have the fastest lap. You can slow down. And Max is like, no.
He just kept going. And it was beautiful to watch. It really was. It was a fantastic race for Max. Like I said, that's going to go down in history books as one of the greatest drives Brazil has ever seen.
Well, it's up there, so I pulled it up because Hamilton's Brazil win in 2021 is impressive as well, because he was disqualified for pole in the sprint. So for a DRS infringement. So he dropped to the back of the grid.
Right.
And he won from the back of the grid in a sprint race. So like that's one, but someone put in there like, can Brazil be the last race of the season? Like imagine Brazil, the last race of the season, championship is deciding. Like if that was this year, and the battle for first and second between Lando and Max was more, and Max would start from the back of the grid, and he comes back and wins the championship in that fashion.
Oh, my God. It would be... I don't even want to think about that.
Alex Jake would drop the call of his life.
Yeah.
And I've never seen... I know you turned him off, but I never see during the podium celebrations. Obviously, I kind of missed the Dutch national anthem. I'm not gonna lie, but I've never seen Max let out a sigh of relief, like the sigh of relief he let out on that podium. You watched him build it up and let it completely out. Like,
well, it's got to be such a, just like, you know, kind of the same thing with what we talked about when Lando got his first win in Miami. Like, such a weight off your shoulders is you haven't won in weeks and
months.
This pressure of this rival charging up the standings coming at you, and now everybody's like, oh my God, driver championship is in the you know, at stake, and you've already lost a constructors chance, or you lost out on holding P1 in constructors champs, and then it's like you go and do that, and it's almost like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, everything's fine.
You're fine. You know,
I mean, he hasn't won since Spain. That was June 23rd. Yeah, that's the last time he's won.
Yeah. So we haven't seen him win in 5 months. Yeah. 4 months.
That's insane.
5 months. Yeah.
After when you listen, like you put it in track facts, but last year, this was his 17th win of the season.
Insane. That is wild.
Yeah, he was on a different planet this on race day. But yeah, that will be my favorite. That will be a Max win I'll go back and watch again and again.
Yeah,
like a race I will do.
Insane.
Yeah, definitely my favorite one. Do you have anything else to add?
I have nothing to add. The only thing I just want to call out, because we were talking Red Bull, Sergio Perez finishes 11th, out of the points. So,
yep.
But yeah, kind of got covered up by Max.
Can we also talk about how they finished in the places that their numbers are? 1 and 11. Their driver numbers.
God, they did.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird.
But yes, that was the recap.
That was race recap. Wild weekend overall. I mean, absolutely just, if you want to convince someone to become an F1 fan, that is a good race to watch just because of the chaos that ensues and how it goes, you know?
Yep. Also, safety car driver went from like not being used in so long to he was out there on tracks. People, I think Alex point was like he might drive the length of the race at this point.
Yeah,
how many times he's going out there. But yes, we have a few F1 Threads mailbag questions at this time. F1 Threads mailbag is brought to you by Furious Motorsport, your one-stop shop for the coolest baseball, basketball, hockey jerseys, swim trunks.
Can't get enough of them.
Yeah, they're amazing. Great quality. You shop from the link in our bio. It automatically adds the coupon code, which is Underground10, to your purchase. Or you can use the Underground10 coupon code just on your own. But shopping from the link in your bio is much easier.
Yes.
Okay.
Automatically applies that code for you.
Yeah. So let's do Jesse's question first. So she says, not a Brazil-specific question, but something I noticed over the last triple header. Why do some teams sit in the pit lane and some in the garages? Like the team principal and engineers and all those people. Is there a specific reason why not everyone sits in these little booths? Which is a great question.
Great question.
Yeah. Great.
I've always wondered why Toto specifically is the first person I can think of.
Because I mean,
is in the garage.
Yeah.
But
we did some research, and I really just think it's team preference is how it comes down to why they sit in the garage or why they sit on the pit wall. Mercedes has a great little article, it's literally called Insight, the Trackside Engineers, and it basically just says that they all sit inside the garage because then they're close to everyone. They can have a conversation with one of the engineers in the same room. They just can maybe even lean over and ask them a question.
Yeah.
So that's really why it says Toto and stuff sit inside. Now, mostly everyone else, specifically Horner and Fred, sit on the pit wall in the pit lane. Yeah. Do you want to give this part or no?
No, this is pretty much it's just for a better view of the track. They're a little bit closer
and the pit lane and garages as well.
Yeah. You've seen them. I'm sure you've seen clips before where they'll turn around and they'll watch how their pit stops go behind them. But yeah, it's pretty much what it boils down to is team preference and how they want to run their ship. We saw Haas boil down their massive pit wall to that 3-person pit wall. So it's really just it seems like there's no really regulations on where team principals or race engineers have to sit. Team preference, whatever works, whatever workflow works best for the team, that's what they're going to go with.
Yeah. And it same goes for because in Monaco, they're not along the pit wall because the pit lane is so small. They're upstairs. They're above the garages. And again, it's the same thing. Obviously, they have no view of the garage, but they have a perfect view of the track. So and the garages there are so small. So I don't know if we've ever actually seen the pit. Have you ever seen the inside of the garage in Monaco for Mercedes? I wonder if they're above too, because those garages are so tiny.
We may not have. Yeah, those garages are very tiny.
Yeah, you barely fit the car. So I wonder. Yeah. Because I feel in Monaco you don't get the shot. Obviously when Charles won, his entire family was upstairs in the hospitality, not in the garage like they normally would be. Because you can't have people in the back. So I wonder. That's a good thing to think of. But yes, that was Jesse's question.
Good question, Jesse. Very good question.
We obviously answered Adam's question about how Lance went from perfectly good tarmac to beaching himself.
Weird thing, but sure. Go ahead, Lance. You do
Who else? Who knows? This is from Veronica, or her username is Turtle on Track.
Turtle on Track, very good.
So, while the weekend had everyone on the edge of their seats and ended with unexpected results, it was pretty clearly dangerous with red flags throughout the practices, qualifying, and the race itself. During the race, drivers were saying how bad it was out there. Ollie's radio message is particularly memorable, but even more seasoned drivers were concerned with the conditions. Do you think the FIA have red flagged earlier or even canceled the race?
Do we think they should have?
Yeah, red flagged earlier? There's a word missing, but yeah, do you think the FIA should have red flagged earlier or even canceled the race? I don't think they should have canceled it because we saw that it cleared up pretty recently after. I do think they could have red flagged it earlier because when it was raining the hardest and watching, like, when they went to the camera or the visor cams or the onboards, you couldn't
see anything. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I agree. We like I said, they were making jokes all weekend long about how, you know, instead of watching the weather radar here in Brazil, you just look out the sky and look up, just because how fast the weather changes. But yeah, I definitely think they could have red flagged it earlier. Especially since a lot of drivers are very outspoken about this is not safe for us to be out here.
No, I think George was even over the radio being like, this is not okay. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah, probably earlier.
Yeah, or Lewis called out Stefano Domicelli. I'm probably butchering his last name. After qualifying was officially canceled, he was on F1 TV. And he's like, why send us out? Or what's wrong with the wet tires? Like, get better wet tires. And he was like, no, then afterwards, it was like, no, we should improve the wet tires. So they could have raced in conditions. Obviously, the rain was coming down so bad. I think the lights went out in the media center because it was like flooding. Yeah, I think they should have red flagged it earlier. Racing in the rain is obviously you have like an IndyCar and NASCAR. They don't do the ovals in the rain because they wait until.
Yeah.
And the spray was so bad.
So bad.
I feel like it was worse than normal.
Much.
Yeah. Last question from Formula One. If F1 hadn't been able to do the qualifying session on Sunday morning, how would you personally have liked for the grid to be set? Practice results, sprint quali race results, championship order? That's a good question. Just how would we have liked it?
I would have liked to have seen sprint qualifying results. Just because I think it would have caused the least amount of disturbance.
Because it wasn't qualifying.
If you did a practice result, people are going to come out and be like, well, we didn't go out there with that in mind. You know, like what, you know, at least with the sprint qualifying, you could say like, okay, hey, you were in qualifying mode. You know, the cars were in qualifying mode. You know, you at least have that mentality there. So I feel like it would have came across more as like oh, this sucks. This is annoying because we thought we would have had a chance to do another qualifying session and correct our mistakes from sprint qualifying. But we get it. It's qualifying. It's what you're working with. Yeah.
That's good. I think if I was being selfish, I wanted to see practice because I wanted Ollie Bierman to be third. Because he was third in FP1.
That's totally fair.
I would have loved to have seen it. But I think them doing championship order would have been fun just because then we would have had Lando and Max part.
It would have been so interesting if they did.
Like starting next to each other.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been interesting to see. Obviously, that would have been maybe, I don't know. No, because it's really pretty, like, how qualifying sessions normally end up anyway, except for, like, maybe here or there. But I think I would have liked to see championship order. But there was a big question because the F1 TV was pretty dead set. It was going to be, like, FP1 results. Yeah. But then you discover there's not actually anything written in the order or in the rules if qualifying was moved to the next morning and it couldn't happen. Like, it's never really happened before that they would have had to, on a sprint weekend, to say. Like, so it was definitely something new for all of us to see and talk about. But
yeah,
would have been fun to see how they worked it out.
Would have been fun.
Do you have anything else you would like to add?
I have nothing. Crazy race, fun race. I think everybody in the F1 world, from us to engineers to drivers to teams, deserve the week off. Considering that this is now that, we're going into the final stretch here.
You're going to Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, wild to say that we have 3 races left in this season, but it's going to be very good 3 races. a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to see what comes of it.
No, I can't either. It will be a fun one.
Yeah.
I kind of hope the championships go. I have a feeling Max wins it. I think Vegas now hopes maybe Max wins it in Vegas. But
yeah.
It would be fun if it both go until the last race of the season. So, but yeah, so thank you. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us for episode 84 of F1 Underground.
A little bit of a longer one today.
Yeah, but I had a feeling. I knew we weren't doing predictions, so
yeah.
But there was a lot to cover. We will be back next week. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll be back next week. It's a non-race, non-recap week. As always, give us a follow over on Instagram and Threads at Underground F1 and over on Twitter at Underground_F1. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, over on YouTube as well. Like I said, we will see you all next week for something. I don't know what we're talking about, but
we'll figure it out.
See ya.
See you later.
See ya.
It still says recording for me.